Yeah, great. Well, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me on. I'm grateful to be here and then meet you guys and then talk. In this format, it's fantastic, and I appreciate the opportunity to reach out to a greater audience. My name is Lambros. I'm a real estate broker in the Greater Toronto area in Canada, and I help people navigate the noise and frenzy of this current crazy real estate market. You may have heard how crazy it is up here. And so they can win every time they buy and sell a home, right? So that's me in a nutshell. And my story, it's actually quite funny how I ended up here, because I come from a totally different background. I don't come from a sales background or anything like that, or marketing. I come from healthcare, right? I have a kinesiology degree, and I was working for years as a personal trainer and a massage therapist. And after about 15 years of doing that, you get to a point where you're burnt out, right? So it takes a toll on the body, takes a toll on the mind, a number of things. And plus, I mean, to be frank, you can't, you're not going to get rich doing massage therapy, right? So, and, we're not getting any younger either, right? So I had to think about retirement at some point. So real estate was always something that I enjoyed. It was something I was familiar with. My mother was in real estate, and we used to buy and sell properties, fix them up, rent them out, etc. So it was always something comfortable to me. It was always something, familiar to me. And I never perceived real estate as being a sales profession. I perceived it as being a service profession. That's because I was a service provider, right? I was helping people. I'm all about helping people. And that's the way I approached it. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go get my real estate license and help people buy and sell houses, right? Simple, right? So it was kind of a shock to me when I was taking the courses and then finding out that I had to refer to myself as a sales rep or a salesperson. I'm like, I don't want to be in sales. This is so not me, right? I'm an introvert by nature, so I don't like going out and selling stuff. So I said, I'm just going to approach it the same way I did my massage business, and just go out and provide a service and help people. And that's where I am today, 10 years later.
Yeah. I love the background. One, kinesiology caught my ear. I was in sports psychology.
Nice.
And the only reason I didn't do kinesiology is because the university I went to didn't have that. So that's a fascinating field.
Yeah.
But what I like the most about what you were saying is you are a service person, not a salesperson.
Correct.
I love that too.
Yeah, because I think there's some agents out that kind of give, I don't know, the agents that do have that mentality a bad name. Because when I go and sit on either buyer meetings or listing appointments, I always tell them, like, I'm not here to sell you on anything. I'm here to help you sell your house or buy a home. But if you want to work with somebody else, you can work with somebody else. I'd rather have us have a good feel, because it's going to make the whole process better, than me sell you with my price or sell you with some fancy gadget or gizmo I can do or have. 100%. And that's just not the right way to do it. This is what I do. This is what I do well. Right. Hopefully we work together, and then I'll help you get to where your goals are. Yeah, it sounds like you have that same philosophy. So.
Oh, by all means. Yeah, 100%. My clients always come first. I'm there to serve my clients, right? Yeah. Whatever it is. And their interests come before my own. They come before anybody else's, right? So like, I don't know how you guys do it in the state. Where are you located, by the way?
We are in, it's a town, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. It's in between Milwaukee and Madison. If you're
okay, beautiful, beautiful. I love Milwaukee. Happy Days, Fonzie, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Plus, I also have relatives down there. I have cousins who live in Wisconsin and on the border, Illinois, over there. Okay. So, so just going back to what I was saying. Up here, we have what we call double end, right? So you list a house for sale, and then if a buyer comes in, they don't have an agent, so you can represent both sides. Yep. To me, that's a huge conflict of interest, right? I don't know how I'm going to get the seller the best deal possible if I'm also working for the buyer, right? So,
Yep.
but some agents don't have a problem with that because they see cha-ching, cha-ching, two sides,
Right.
two commissions, and that's it, and that they want to get the deal done. So I tell my sellers up front, I'm like, you know what, if a buyer comes in and they don't have an agent, they want to go through me, I said, that's fine. I'm going to make it clear that I'm working for you, and I'm trying to sell the property at the best price possible. If they want advice, I can't give it to them, at least not on price, or I will refer them to somebody else in my office or a friend who can represent them. And now both sides have fair representation, right?
Right. So, yeah, I will never do the dual agent. Personally, I won't do it.
Yeah.
If I'm somebody's agent, I'm working for them. I'll either give the other side a disclosure to customer, and that's one thing that down here I'm finding a lot of people don't know the nuances of it. Yes. Where like you're either a client or a customer.
Explain that a little bit to the people who are like completely green.
Right, and I don't know if it's different up there, but kind of how it works here in the U.S. is you basically have three different types of representation. You have the independent, where I'm working with one side of it.
Right.
You have a dual with double representation, so basically I can do the buyer and the seller side. Yeah. Or you have the dual without, I forgot the technical term, without dual representation. So basically, if I was
people from the same brokerage, is that what it is?
Right, same brokerage but different agents, and that is as close as personally I will take it.
Yeah, no, we have the same thing up here, almost identical, actually. We have representation, as you mentioned, that's the independent one. Yeah. We call it multiple representation when you have two people from the same office, right? Because now it's actually, the house is listed with the office, or the brokerage, not with the individual. I'm just a representative of that brokerage, right? And then we call it double end, I guess, if you're doing both sides. Oh, that's also in a way multiple representation as well. But we have two levels of that, like you do. You can either have a client or a customer, and a client is the one that you're advising on price, on everything else, that you're putting their interests ahead of everybody else's, or versus a customer who is somebody that, okay, that's fine, you can work with them, but you can't negotiate price for them.
Somebody that you have that has actually signed like a paperwork with
you. You sign an agreement that you're representing them.
Customer is just somebody who is inquiring, inquisitive.
Exactly. You owe them loyalty, you owe them confidentiality, you owe them all kinds of fiduciary duties, whereas you don't have those duties to a customer. A customer is somebody who, let's say they walk into the open house, they love the house, and they say, oh, I want to buy it. Do you have an agent? No. Okay, can I buy through you? I said, that's fine, as long as you understand that I represent the seller, and I can't advise you on price.
Right. That's almost a textbook example for when we took the real estate exam down here of what a customer is versus a client. So that's right.
So we have the same ideology, same.
Yeah, and the thing is neither one is right or wrong, because in certain situations they will help, in certain situations they will hurt, and you just got to find out.
And then there's always an option of using a real estate lawyer too.
Sure. Right. Absolutely. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying what's right and wrong for me, because I don't feel comfortable representing both sides, because to me, it's a conflict of interest. So
I know that
go ahead.
With some of either my clients or my customers, the way that I describe it is, if you're going to be a client or if you're going to be a customer, I can basically tell you what it's listed for, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, the street it's on, just factual things.
And how
if you ask me a question, I'll give you that.
And you can't lie about anything. You can't misrepresent anything. That's pretty much it.
Right. And then if you want to be a client, then I can tell you, okay, let's look in and dive into like what could be the market rate. Now you get the analytic part of it.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of the delineation. And there's been a couple situations where actually my sister was moving in from Baltimore, and I told her, for the ease of it, because in this market it's pretty competitive, I told her, I want you to talk to the listing agent and tell her that you want to be a customer and just to write an offer. Right on. They weren't going to win with price, so they're going to win with ease. And an agent who gets to control both sides of it, definitely more beneficial. So they actually won out by being a customer rather than being a client of another agent.
Absolutely. That's great. Yeah. Whatever works. every case is different, right? So in
Right.
your case, your sister had your advice to fall back on, right? So she didn't have to rely on anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you got the
Yep.
Brother of the Year award for that one, Marcus. The one and
I'm
only.
just constant. She had water in the basement last week. I came over and
Wow.
fixed it. Just trying to rack up the gold stars.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
I'm gonna
Curious.
get the better.
Yeah, curious, Marcus. Why didn't you just represent her as her agent instead of her going in as a customer?
One, I was busy.
Okay.
Two, I didn't think they were going to win with their offer with what was out there in the market. And they didn't need one. They had There was an offer on this place before, like a month prior. They had an inspection done.
Okay.
They weren't in trouble of finances, so there wasn't many things that they needed an agent for. So I just told them your best bet is to go that route.
Yeah.
And it actually ended up being okay for them. And again, I wasn't really in it for money, because then you got a whole different disclosure because it's a family member and all that stuff.
Oh, so, that's right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I just said, your easiest path to get this house, because if they didn't get this house, they weren't moving back to Wisconsin. It was like something popped up that was like their perfect spot. And they both worked out in Baltimore, and it was right when COVID started, so no one was working in the office. So they're like, okay, if we buy a house in Wisconsin, we may not have to go back to the office when things open up. So it was timing, spot, and I was just like, if you have to get it, this is the way to do it.
Sure.
It turned out that it worked, but
yeah, great, awesome.
So how long have you been a broker, and what's the qualifications to be a broker in Canada? Because I'm sure we've got different qualifications.
Yeah, I got my broker's license 2 years ago.
Okay.
So for the first 8 years of my career, again, we have different levels. First one is sales rep, and then you can get your broker's license. So now it's not much different, other than the fact that I can now open my own office if I wanted to. That's pretty much all what a broker means up here, right? I haven't done that yet. I may do it eventually, but right now I'm still operating the same way as before, only I have a fancy name, broker. It just sounds better to me. I think that's why I did it.
No, that's awesome. And I know that I'm sure it's a lot more rewarding to be on your own, and comes with struggles, but it obviously is beneficial.
Oh,
so you don't have like a team yet. It's kind of your own independent brokerage.
No, just 3 people, me, myself, and I, and that's it. Yeah.
Perfect.
I do everything. I'm the marketing person. I'm the sales guy. I'm the CEO, CFO, whatever, everything. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that Natasha takes my marketing hat off of my plate. That's something that I could not do. So
I do.
Actually, good for you. That's awesome. I actually enjoy the marketing part better than the sales, the business part. So that's why.
That's why I don't use my real estate license. I'm licensed. I take my tests every couple of years, but I don't want to use it. I just want to keep up in the know of what's going on in the real estate market, so that I can assist my real estate agents to the best degree possible.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
and that was the one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, that's when you start going and you start tasking, like marketing off to a qualified person or accounting to a qualified person. The one thing that stuck out with Natasha is that she was involved in real estate and had the real estate background, because there are different nuances and verbiage that will click in real estate as opposed to like medical and
even just knowing that you have to have your broker's logo on there, and that you need to have your personal logo on there, and that you need to reference your brokerage.
Yeah. We have some strict advertising policies up here too.
Yeah, and just like that a non-real estate person would be like, huh?
Yeah,
I hear you.
And they're getting more and more strict on marketing, because you're getting that digital enhancing. Yes. Are you getting that up there?
I took that course last year.
Yeah. Which course is that?
It was a course on digital marketing through our MLS, through our
the GMAR, Greater Milwaukee.
Exactly. Greater Milwaukee Area Realtors Association or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Because those digital enhanced photos are getting crazy. Because you'll go into a listing that you see online and you're like, this is beautiful. And then you go in and you're like, what We went to the wrong house.
What are your thoughts on digital staging versus traditional staging? Like, so when you're walking in a house and all of a sudden you're like, but this was staged in the photo, why is it empty now?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. I've never used it personally. I prefer the real staging because just like you said, if somebody is so enamored by what they see in the photo and then they walk into the house and they're disappointed, you know, it's not a good feeling. They're just going to walk out, right? Or there's no offer coming. I'd rather have it reversed. I'd rather have the pictures say, okay, this looks good. But then when they walk in, I want them to be wowed and like, oh my God, this looks even better in person. That's how you get offers, right?
It's really hard for people who don't have the quote unquote the eye to be able to see past four walls and a door. Like when my husband and I bought the property out in Oregon, we knew that it was going to be a rental property, but it was almost like location was what drew us to it. And we're like, it's okay, it's fine, it's not beautiful, but I think we could make it what we want to make it in the future. But I feel like location is your first priority, and then the interior of your house should probably be the second.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with that for sure. Yeah, and every house that I've bought as well for myself, and what I've advised to clients is, you can change the color of the walls, you can change the kitchen, you can even change the outside.
You can even knock down walls.
You can knock down walls. You can change it from, if you don't like the siding, you can change it or whatever, right?
And you're gonna have to change the siding at some point in the future anyway. So
exactly, you just can't change location, right? You can't take the house and put it somewhere else, right? So location has to come first. Yeah.
So that's the second house my husband and I have bought based on location, because we love the like quaint quintessential downtown areas, and that's where our house is here. We're like 4 blocks from the beach, 2 blocks from the coffee shop.
Oh, nice.
And then that's kind of where we bought it in Oregon too. It's like 6 blocks from the wine bar, a block from a restaurant. So it's just like, we're set.
Why Oregon?
Why Oregon?
Why Oregon? Yeah, you got family up there?
No, well, technically, yes, I have a brother, but he's up in Portland. But we chose Oregon because my husband's been in the food and beverage industry for 25 years. And he's really been wanting to get into the wine industry. So he's kind of preparing himself now, currently working, selling commercial kitchen equipment for companies to really get a feel for and prepare himself to be in the wine industry in 10 years.
Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah,
that's very cool.
Awesome.
Well, with all this talk on location, what location are you in Canada specifically?
Well, you've heard of Toronto, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a little suburb right outside of, just to the west of Toronto. It's called Mississauga. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
Have not.
No. Okay. It's we've got about maybe 800,000+ people, and I mean Toronto proper is probably just under 3 million people, and then we belong into the greater community. It's called the Greater Toronto Area, or GTA. You may have heard of GTA. Which is about 6 million people altogether. So you've got Toronto in the middle, and you've got all these little suburbs all around it. And I'm in one of them called Mississauga, right? So that's where I do most of my business. But I mean, to the north is Brampton, to the west is Oakville. I go into Toronto occasionally as well. So I'll spread out into a radius.
And then do you focus on mostly single family homes, or do you do duplexes, triplexes, apartments?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter really. I'll do
open opportunity.
Whatever my client needs to be sold, I'll sell it. It could be a condo. It could be, a single family home, like you mentioned. It could be an investment property, a duplex. I've sold.
Have you done much in the commercial sector, or do you kind of try to stay away from that?
Well, I've dabbled in the commercial. I've done a few commercial leases, but I don't do much commercial. I can do it if my client wants me to do it. If it's something I can handle, I'll do it. But it's about 85% residential that I do. Yeah.
Commercial is just not as fun.
Yeah, it's a different element. You're absolutely right. There's less emotion involved. Sometimes it's good though. Sometimes it's good.
I had my own brick and mortar commercial business for almost 10 years.
Okay.
And it's just it can be more emotional than buying a house at times, depending on if your livelihood is dependent upon the commercial location.
Yeah, right.
You know, so there's just a lot of stuff going on. And then what's it called here? It's like where the utilities and the rent's included. It's like a triple net lease.
Yes, nice.
That's right. Yeah, excellent.
Nice. We need the ding, 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 ding,
ding, ding, ding, ding, ding. Natasha wins a prize.
I know. Yeah, I loved commercial real estate when I was working for the brokerage where Marcus and I met each other. That's what I was trying to get into, was commercial real estate. Okay. But it just didn't pan out. It wasn't the right fit necessarily. But I always thought it was super interesting, especially coming from being a business owner myself.
Nice.
Yeah. But Lambros, like you were saying, it definitely takes on, at least from the agent side, less emotion into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The clients maybe, like you said, with like if they're opening a business and their livelihood is dependent on this thing to make money.
Yeah.
Definitely some emotional flares there, but on the agent side, it's definitely a lot colder.
I can see that.
And it's like a wild, wild west. There's like very little rules and.
Really? I would think there'd be more rules.
No, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Wild West, because that's the nickname we have for Brampton. I mentioned Brampton, which is just to the north of me.
Yeah.
So, we call it the Wild West there.
Do you think there
are no rules?
Yeah. Do you think there are less rules here in like the Oconomowoc area for commercial real estate? Because I definitely don't.
No, I think commercial in general is all gonna be the same. I think it's because
I think it's zoning, kind of that we need to refer to then with the commercial real estate, because I think zoning is what really can put Hampner just with a lot of difficulty in finding the correct property in your real estate.
Yeah. And at least from what I've seen around here and heard, because I don't do much commercial anymore, I stick to basically residential, but on the commercial side, there's always like questions on who produced the buyer and is that broker going to pay the other one? Do they legally have to? Are they going to?
Really?
Yeah, it's not as cut and dry, I guess, as what they're making the residential side.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. I don't want to make it seem like everybody in the commercial space is just trying to like screw somebody else over. It's not like that, but there's just less. I don't know. It just structure. Feels like it's a lot looser of rules on that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting take on it. Not sure if I have experienced that. I always thought it was the opposite. There's just so many more rules and procedures you have to follow. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, well, I didn't use a broker when I purchased, or when I didn't purchase. I rented my commercial real estate.
Okay.
But it was a headache. But we also had to go through the whole loan process and the whole permitting process. So there was a lot of regulations and hoops to jump through in order to be able to open. So
yeah, that stuff. There's definitely more, like the operation of it. Definitely more rules.
Yeah,
like the operation of a building. So much more rules.
So then it's almost like it almost makes you more tense about purchasing a property, because you're like, if I can't get through the red tape of being able to open, then how am I supposed to commit to a building?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like the teeter-totter of the two, and it's just like, which one wins?
Yep.
The good thing is there's less. The good thing is there's less pressure on there. I mean, our market is so hot up here. I mean, I don't know how hot it is in Wisconsin, but here we used to see like 20 offers on a regular basis. If a house came on the market, it would sell a day later with 20 offers on it, right? So you had to act really fast to get in there with your buyer and bid 100, sometimes 200 or 300,000 over the asking price in order to get.
Oh,
I've been reading articles on that, and because I work for a real estate agent out in Oregon, and I've been reading or Seattle, and I've been reading about the $100,000 and $200,000 over asking price offers.
Yeah.
And I was disgusted when I had to put a $5,000 above asking price offer when there were no other offers on the table.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Because we gave them, like, I think we offered $5,000 below asking just because we knew work needed to be done. And they were like, is that your best and final offer? And we're like, apparently not. Like,
well, they have to ask that question, right?
It was just one of those things where we were like, okay, well, I guess we really want the properties, so.
Well, at least you got it. I mean, 5,000 over the long term. I mean, I'm
Oh
sure
my
your
gosh,
mortgage
it's
did, right? It's
nothing.
nothing, right?
And
So,
it's nothing because then they gave us back $5,000 for repairs. So we're like, oh, okay, we're even.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've had before the market went nuts, I had clients walk away for $1,000. Like they didn't want to go up 1,000. You know, the sellers didn't want to come down 1,000. I'm like, guys, what are we doing here? $1,000. Like, come on, I'll give it.
Do you feel like what we're in right now, do you feel like this is a bubble for you personally, or do you feel like it's going to come up a little bit and it'll go down just slightly, but it'll kind of stay even?
No, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that because everybody has their own take on it. And you hear, if you look at the news articles, they're all saying we're in a bubble. Toronto's the most expensive market. Like maybe now, I think they said it's overvalued even more than Los Angeles and New York, right? Whoa. So we're like really overvalued, but that's coming from global sources, right? They don't understand the Toronto market here. I don't think, I mean, yes, prices are high. We may be overvalued, but I wouldn't call it a bubble. I don't think it's going to burst anytime soon. The last time this happened was 2017. Prices were escalating exponentially, right? We would see 33% appreciation from one year to the next, right? We would see 5 to 10% increases month over month, something totally unsustainable. And then the government stepped in, changed some policies around, brought in a foreign buyers tax, and that kind of cooled the market off a little bit, right? But after about 6 months, things started picking up again. So the same thing might happen this year. If things cool off a bit, it's going to come right back.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Because our area is such high demand. We have great underlying fundamentals here. Anytime that the market starts coming down, or people even get a sniff that prices are coming down, you're going to see investors and opportunists come out of the woodwork, and they're going to start buying up properties, right?
Do you think that is because it's so expensive to build right now?
Yeah. And you guys are in real estate. You know what happens when people start buying again. What happens to prices, right? Mm-hmm. They're gonna go back up, right? So that's why I'm saying anytime they see the prices coming down, boom, people start jumping in. It's like the stock market. It's going to go back up again. So and it's been going up in this area for 40 years. So I don't think it's going to come down.
I mean, we were just looking where we bought and it went up 40% over 4 years. We're like 40% in 4 years. What's it going to do in the next 10 years? When we were looking to move out there, we're like, let's jump in now while we can actually afford it.
100%. That's what I tell my buyers right now, because I got a lot of people saying, I'm going to wait till prices come down. Well, I say, you're going to wait for a long time. I'm going to pull up that skeleton meme, and that's going to be you waiting for prices to come down.
I was starting to read an article. Have you guys heard of inman.com? INMAN. No. Okay, well, they have lots of great articles. I think there's a small subscription fee, but it's a lot of articles geared towards real estate agents. And I was reading an article today, and they were saying they think the prices are going to start to come down a little bit in the fall. And that's about as far as I got through the article. So that's my my ready conversation starter.
I think it's going to be a little bit longer than that. Personally, just from what I'm seeing, I think because the new builds, and I do think there is a market to make money on new builds still. But you need to be very specific on where the new build is, because you are banking on natural appreciation after they finish the development stage that they're in, that you can kind of still surpass. And you have to live there for a while to have it kind of work out for you. But so I don't think new builds are a bad option. But I think with lumber prices where they're at, and I don't think those are going to drop for maybe another year and a half to get back to where they normally should be. With the prices being where it's at, I think new build in the US alone is down like 25%. So if that continues to decline, I think people that want to get into homes are going to buy existing homes, and it's just going to get tougher and tougher to find the new homes on the market. So I expect all of this to keep going until the new builds pick back up and that market gets going again. But
I just can't wait to sell my little itty bitty house one day and have it be worth lots of money.
Yeah, no, new builds are a great option for first-time home buyers, right? Or if somebody, I mean, the average, I don't know what the average price is for a house down there, but it's over $1 million here, right? So
$1 million Canadian dollars?
Canadian dollars, which
what
is what, I don't know, 50 bucks American or something like that. I'm not sure. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
We're at about whatever it is in the US, it's probably about 700,000 or 75.
That's insane.
It is.
I'm gonna Google the conversion rate.
Yeah, go ahead. Now. Yeah, I'm curious now.
That's not even for my forever house. I could never afford that. Like here in our little town, we have some houses that were starting at 150 when I bought mine, but now they're about 250, 300 starting price. Wouldn't you say, Marcus?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and then they go up from there, but those are not obviously new builds. New builds are what, 500 plus here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't even get a mobile.
475 if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's Oconomowoc is very unique because you'll have some new builds that are giant houses that will go. Obviously, you have the luxury lake homes that are $1 million plus and all that stuff, but like a prototypical like mass builder, which is a cookie cutter, you get to pick these 5 floor plans. I mean, they're pretty much staying in the 450 plus range.
Yeah.
But then you'll get some smaller plots. What they're doing here with some of them is they're shrinking the plots down. So you don't get a big yard, but you'll get a decent sized home. And they'll sell it with that sub 4.
Yeah.
Or you'll get the condos that are in the condo building, like just around the corner, and those go for 250 to 350. And they have a pool and all that stuff, but it's a condo on top of a condo on top of a condo versus single versus like the condos side by side.
Yeah. Natasha, I see your doggy back there.
I have 2 doggies. One is dead on my bed. Come here, Sophie, come here. Here, you can see her. Oh, this is Sophie.
Oh my God.
Hi, Sophie. She's a golden doodle, and she is my love bug. Yeah. Now Cozy's getting jealous. Come on, come here. Come here.
I was a couple minutes late to the show because I was getting some puppy time. We just got 2 puppies.
Beautiful. Too. Nice. What kind of dogs do you have?
All right, here we go.
It says $100 US, $125.32.
There we go. There's Cozy.
Okay, so going the other way would be about 75, 80 bucks for 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Oh, is that the other one?
That's so the other one. This is Cosette.
Yeah. She's adorable.
The best part was when I met Natasha.
Yeah.
He was like this big.
Oh yeah. We were sitting in a meeting and I would hold the puppy in my hands, and now it's huge.
Yeah.
Now she's massive, and she's a Dr. Seuss character brought to life, basically.
She looks like one. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. They're adorable. That's awesome.
Thank you.
God bless them.
That.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, we did have a jump start on the Canadian real estate market.
I was just going to mention that, Janelle.
We had an agent who was in Toronto on our show.
Yes, you sent me the link. I actually I watched some of that.
Yeah, she specifically does condos. Like that is where she's at. And I didn't know that was a big enough market in the Toronto area, but apparently that is huge.
Is huge, especially downtown where she is. I think she said she's right downtown, and she does condos. So yeah, it's mostly condos down there. It's all high rise. It's just that's the whole market down there. I try to stay away from that. I'm not a fan of downtown because you have to walk everywhere. You can't park anywhere, or it costs you like 30, 40 bucks to park somewhere. So it's just ridiculous. Yeah, because I'm in the suburbs, so I prefer to stay up there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm the same way. The last time I looked at a place in Milwaukee was with Natasha.
I know.
She brought me down there. Otherwise, I stay clear.
Yeah.
My husband used to live in downtown Milwaukee, and I used to live in downtown Baltimore, and we both love the city life. And so we are desperately missing it. We're either going to get a place in Milwaukee, or we'll get one out in like Portland, just to have as like a getaway for the weekend.
Nice.
I just love going to musicals and operas and out to dinner and like all the fancy stuff.
Cool. Yeah, Marcus, if you want to get a better feel for the Toronto condo market, just Google pictures from about 20 years ago of the downtown skyline, Toronto skyline versus today. And you'll see the huge difference. What it's become, even in the last 20 years, all these condo buildings have gone up. So it's just it's insane.
Look at Marcus Googling on his computer
I have 2 computers now. I can do this.
There you go.
You're totally making a nerd out right now. You do realize.
You'd be surprised how many times I get done with the show and I've got notes written down that I can then go and Google all of these things because I'm so curious about them.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
And I just try to keep him in line at some point.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna post 2 side-by-side Toronto pictures.
Yeah, do it. Post it. You can share a screen, can you? You can put it up.
Natasha, do you know how to share screens on that one? Otherwise, we can put it in the show notes.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's also the easier one.
Oh yeah, hold on. I can share screens. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Okay, now you guys can share screens.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I was born in 1990, so I went Toronto 1990, Toronto 2020.
Whoa.
Okay,
God.
go ahead. You can share.
Way to make me feel old. Oh, God.
He makes me feel old too. Come on.
I make everybody feel old. It's
I know.
like the constant theme that I talk to people is.
Just need to
Whoa,
like
1990. Yeah. Jeez.
We had who was it? We had somebody start their real estate career when I graduated elementary school.
Wow.
And that was the coolest part because I was like, what was it like when I was 13, 14 years old? That would be cool.
My goodness. I've got t-shirts older than you, Marcus. My God.
It is really cool though. I've done like the real estate memory lane kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, my grandparents' house. Let me look at that. And I went back and I looked at their listing and how they described it and all that. I looked at my house that was sold when the one that I lived in as a kid, and I went through and I was like, that's the pictures they took? Who is this agent? I actually knew the agent.
I could never do that. I would cry my eyes out. Like there's not a bone in my body that wants to do any of that.
It was super cool because I had like this really cheesy sports wallpaper.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's my room. And I got to see like
nice
how it was. So like the memory lane stuff is kind of cool. But
yeah. I like doing that too, actually. Yeah.
That's the stuff that I like. We had a guest on, it might have been a month and a half ago, but no, he was a lender. And I was asking him, all right, now compare and contrast today's market from the 2008, 2009 bubble that actually was.
A bubble.
Yeah, that was the bubble, yeah.
And he was like, it is so different. And there were so many different, rules and regulations that weren't in place now. And he said the way that you had to go about it was different because obviously it's more of a buyer's market because there's so much inventory and all that stuff. And he's like, now we're trying to beat the next buyer. We're not even competing against the seller. We're competing against the other buyers.
Yeah.
Which is a unique kind of dynamic, especially when you're working with your clients, saying like, we're not competing with the seller at this point.
Yeah,
we're trying to beat the other buyers.
That's exactly how it is up here right now, right? So you're competing with other buyers. Yeah.
So just so you guys know, I don't know if you've been reading the news much or anything lately. So when Marcus and I were looking at condos downtown, I would write love letters to the owners of the condos to be like, pick me. In Oregon, we wrote the last love letter that was allowed. You can't write love letters anymore.
Oh, they don't allow letters?
Not anymore. They just put a law in effect like yesterday, like 2 days ago.
Oh my God. Yeah, don't even get me started on that. That is so upsetting. Well, no, because I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but first of all, no one's going to make a decision based on the letter, right? They're going to say who's got the best price.
That's not true.
Well, okay, no, you're right. You're right. It's not true. Most of the time, 90% of the time. I got my. Well, I have a story for you as well on that. But anyway, my point is, people should be allowed to express themselves. So you can't automatically assume people are going to make discriminatory decisions based on a love letter. So it's just, I think it's just too much, right?
I was gonna say, I got my house now, and I don't know if it was technically allowed or legal, but for some reason my real estate agent let the other real estate agent know that I was a single mom at the time. And that really resonated with the seller because she was a single mom when she bought the house, and she so very wanted me to have a safe place to raise my kid. So that's why we have the house we live in now. And then we just wrote a letter to the sellers out in Oregon. We were like, we see ourselves being here for the rest of our lives. Just give it to us.
For sure. Absolutely. You know, as a buyer's agent, you have to pull out all the stops to make sure that your clients are the ones who get the house, right? Because you're competing with 10, 20 other people, right? I actually went one step further than my last two sales that we won in competition. Was we didn't just send a buyer's letter. I had them record a video, right? Oh my goodness. So yeah, and that worked both times. Even though, to your point, Natasha, we weren't the highest, we didn't have the highest price. The one was like, at least, I don't even know how much higher it was, but it worked because of the video. It was such an emotional, impactful video that my clients put out there. They were a young couple moving from downtown Toronto to Mississauga. They were expecting a baby, blah, 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 you know, and they really tugged on the heartstrings of the seller. So, and we weren't the highest offer, but we still got it.
I was gonna say we weren't the highest offer on the first offer here and where we live now. I think we might have been, we were very close on the one out in Oregon, but it was just like that little piece of yourself that you're offering up to the person whom you're trying to say we want to continue either the legacy of the house or continue the tradition of the house, and we're not going to destroy it. I think makes people feel a lot better about, hey, I really want you to continue the legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully our listeners wrote that little tip down. I love that video idea, especially how people are taking information. It is videos.
And now in the day and age of everything being so in your face and so like visual, how can you not allow something like that?
Absolutely. You know,
I mean, that's where we get all of our daily information is, you know, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, like all the really quick little snippets of information. That's how we get it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's one thing to read words on a paper. It's another to see actual faces on your screen.
Yep, you know, we made sure to include a picture of our family in it.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, nice. Yeah, for sure.
I'm just waiting to put in my first offer on a house through Facebook.
Oh my God.
For that to come.
You know you're going to end up doing that at some point. That's a scary part.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Facebook.realtor.com is what.
Oh, they're going to get into real estate now? Oh, first it was Amazon, now Facebook.
Gosh. But we have one last question for you.
Okay.
So we have more. We have time for one more.
We have time for one more, but we would love to have you back on for a second session.
I'd love to be back on. Thank you. This was fun.
But the one question that I get to end with for our first episode is, what has been your favorite DIY project or just your favorite project in general in any of your houses that you've dealt with?
Oh, wow. You know what? Before I got my real estate license, I bought this house. It was a power of sale. So, and we didn't know whether it was a grow op or anything else in there, right? The bank had no information. It was a bank sale.
And what did you call it?
A grow op. They used to grow cannabis in there, or.
Oh, I gotcha.
What do you guys call it? You call it something else?
I didn't know if you were talking about like a foreclosure type process.
Yeah, it was a foreclosure, so to speak, right? Power of sale. I think maybe that's what.
That was the one that I
was the word.
Know.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Were they
I guess
legally allowed to grow cannabis, or they just
no.
Okay.
Well, we're not sure if it was or wasn't, right? But there were some signs of it because all the rooms had locks on them. There was like holes in every wall.
I guess I don't know. Is cannabis legal up there?
It is now, but when I bought the house, it wasn't, right?
Got it.
But even though it's legal now, there's a limited amount you can grow. You can't turn your basement into, some kind of hub and tap into the hydro company's power lines.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this house was a disaster, right? Everything had to be done.
Oh.
So myself and my brother-in-law, we took it on, and I put so much heart, sweat, and tears and blood into it. It was just, I fell in love with the place because I put so much work in it. I was YouTubing all these different things that I could do, like pavers, right, in the front driveway. I did them myself, right? I said, well, I'm not going to pay somebody to do it. I'm just going to do it myself. So I YouTubed
That's
it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. We did everything with the kitchen was done.
All
The flooring was done. My brother-in-law taught me how to put up drywall, how to do taping and mudding. And so I learned all this stuff. And
That's awesome.
So that was a great experience because I learned how to do so much stuff. And after putting all that effort into it, it broke my heart to sell it after a while.
I'm sure.
And, looking back now, I wish I hadn't sold it because now that thing's tripled in price. So,
it's crazy. I mean, just this market in general is crazy. I'm sure you've made it up in other ways, so you can't look back and kick yourself.
Well, I know.
Maybe.
It's hard not to.
Maybe. I don't know.
Every so often, it's like, damn, I shouldn't have sold that house.
We're sitting here talking about how there's not a lot of emotion in it. And when you lose that property that you put so much time and energy into, and you sell it, you definitely miss it.
And that's kind of what Jason and I were saying the other day. I'm like, I don't know if I can be a property manager, or I don't know if I could be an investor in more than one property, because I'm already feeling like this is so much effort. But then if we have a property manager, is it really that much effort? Like, it's like one of those like questions that you keep like toying with in your head.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I do like the philosophy, and that's awesome that you got the background, because I think there's a big thing on agents here that are, I call them like the Vanna Whites. They just want to walk in the door and point to a lamp and point to a couch and here's a carpet.
Yeah.
But like, you're like, okay, what kind of furnace is it? Like a silver one. Yeah. Like, no, gas or electric. So like when you get to go into the mechanicals and how it works and that kind of stuff, I feel like that brings so much more value that is not really seen or appreciated from the clients that you go in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there 100%. I always offer that to my buyers, right? So we go in and they'll have questions, especially first timers, right? So I'll look at the furnace, I'll look at the roof, and I'll look at I'm not an inspector by any means, don't get me wrong, but I can tell them how much work this house is going to need, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, so, and that's, you're right, it adds that extra layer of value for sure. Yeah.
You want to come down to Oregon and take a look at my house?
Sure. I've never been to Oregon.
Buy the flights and we'll head out. We'll do our best.
Absolutely. Give me a ticket and I'm there. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'll meet you there.
Awesome. We can all meet up in Oregon and have lots of gorgeous wine.
Yeah.
For everyone. Actually, they have really good Chardonnay now too. So you have your choice.
Yeah, I have to go to Oregon. I've been to Washington State, but I've been to California. I haven't been to Oregon, so I have to.
I have not been to Washington State. That's one place I would love to go. My son really wants to go too, so he might.
Hopefully, they're done with the heat wave over there.
I think they're calming down now.
Did you hear about that, Lambros?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it was like 117.
Yeah, we had heat waves up here too. We had forest fires and everything going crazy in BC, British Columbia, right above Washington, right? So, but I didn't hear about Washington, no.
I don't believe you. Canada to the U.S. is just one big snow pile. So
I don't know.
Have forest fires.
I don't know if it got up far in Seattle. I know is very prevalent in Oregon and at least lower parts of Seattle.
Right on.
Right on. What I feel bad, I think Toronto has accepted the air conditioner. I feel like Seattle and Washington,
Oregon,
they just don't have AC.
Don't.
So during this heat wave, they're just sitting there. And I remember I worked for a company that was based out of Seattle. We went to Washington University for our clinic.
Okay.
We stayed in one of the dorms.
Wow.
The only thing air conditioned was the lobby.
Oh,
so when it was 95 in the middle of summer, I slept in the lobby because my room was just a sweaty sauna.
We're getting those, what are they called? They're split units, I think they're called, when they're like put into the wall.
Like a window unit or something?
No, it's not a window unit. They're actually installed into the wall and then they'll bust out cold air that way. I think it's called a split unit. Maybe look it up.
It could be. Yeah. They do make them. I actually have it wired for my attic to put one of those
yes,
in.
that's
wow.
exactly what we are looking at for when we do move out there, because we're like, we're from Wisconsin. We're not going anywhere without air conditioning.
And
do you guys have basements out there? Because I know some U.S. Really, that's so bizarre to me. Everybody has a basement here.
I have a crawl space, and our house in Oregon too has a crawl space, no basement.
Wow.
So the one thing that kind of, it's really weird because it's all pockets. So where we are in Oconomowoc, we're surrounded by lakes. Okay. So what we have is trouble with the water level or the water table. Oh, so some streets and some blocks you can't have a basement because the flooding. The water level's too high to actually dig in. So you basically get a crawl space. Some are just on a slab because you can't go anywhere. But then others you can dig and you're fine. Like my house is on a river, but I was able to dig down and I was fine. One of my rentals that's actually off of the lake and farther from the river, they couldn't dig down because the water table was too high. Yeah. So it's super weird and it's all pockets. And then that's why it's specific to get an agent in the area that you're going to buy. Like I wouldn't go and help Natasha out in Portland. I know nothing. Right. No, but like for sure. Even from Oconomowoc to another city that's like Sussex, which is a little bit east of us, they've got a lot of foundries and they have a huge radon issue in that area. So you'll get the basement, but you'll need a mitigation system.
I'm 4 blocks, west of the lake, and every single house around me on the block has a basement, but not mine.
Ooh, they just cheaped out on you.
We just have this itty bitty crawl space that Barry was like, I'm not getting down there.
Where they keep the bodies. Yeah.
So we find really skinny guys to go down in the crawl space.
I know. Barry's not the guy. Barry is one of the guys that works with me when we flip homes. Okay. And he's, I think he's touching 63 now, but he's 6'5", 240, 250.
At least. Yeah.
So he's not getting in a crawl space anytime soon.
No, he looked at me and he was like, no. I was like, okay, I get it. But I did warn him, but he was like, yeah, no, this is even smaller than I thought.
He'll do anything else. He's a guy that's been through like commercial and residential. So he's a wealth of knowledge knowing he's telling stories about what he did at Lambeau Field when he was building that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then he goes into the little single family home that he remodeled the kitchen for. So he's worked through the heavy stuff and the light stuff, and it's just cool. The little tidbits he picks up and the wealth of knowledge he gives people.
Right, Lambros. I am so sorry, but guess what? I am cutting us off.
Oh no. I want to ask about Lambeau Field because that's one of my dream destinations I want to go.
Well, next time we will continue the conversation, and our first question will be all about Lambeau Field.
There you go.
I think we have an opening in like 2 weeks, so if you want
to. And if you do ever make it to the States and you want to go to Lambeau, we do have a cottage that's about 25 minutes away.
Nice.
I will definitely let you stay if you want to bring the family down and
awesome.
Take a tour of Lambeau if that's where you want to go.
Oh yeah, I'd love to do that for sure.
We can definitely set that up.
Awesome. Well, great. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the tidbits. We learned more about the Canadian market, and it's always fun learning something new.
Yeah.
But we'll try to schedule to get you back because I know I still have more questions about the nuts and bolts of what sets your brokerage apart and more about the Canadian market. So
for sure, anytime. Thanks so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
Have a good weekend.
We'll talk to you soon.
You bet. You too. Bye, everybody.
See ya.